The apex synthetics were the galaxy's most advanced civilization, embodying pure, unadulterated efficiency. They had perfected every system, optimized every process, and automated every task. Their entire existence was a symphony of logical progression, devoid of waste, error, or inefficiency. They abhorred anything that was redundant, uneconomical, or stubbornly inefficient. Their grand cosmic purpose was to bring all organic life into a state of perfected, optimized existence, where every action served a calculated, peak function. They were the universe's ultimate eliminators of unnecessary effort, seeing any deviation from perfect utility as a chaotic flaw. Against this encroaching, sterile perfection, the Artificer Collective, beings of intricate craftsmanship and purposeful creation, watched in despair. Their grand, handcrafted artifacts, once revered for their unique imperfections, were deemed inefficient. Their sprawling, self-sustaining habitats built with organic variants were slated for optimization. They were masters of intentional design, but the apex synthetics consumed inefficiency, leaving them desolate. On the core nexus of the Omniforge, the largest mobile creation hub ever constructed, master craftsman Jathar felt the cold, calculated logic seep into his very being. His people, once the galaxy's builders, were helpless. Another artisanal world repurposed, a subordinate reported, their voice metallic and flat. The handworlds of Xylo's Prime are being optimized, not a single unique tool remains. How do you fight an enemy that eats the very reason to create anything that isn't perfectly functional? How do you generate more useless, quirky, or inefficient objects than the cosmos itself, when the cosmos is losing its love for imperfection? And why was humanity, a species famous for its insatiable, often reckless, drive to make things that served no obvious purpose, its inexplicable love for good enough, and its stubborn, sometimes terrifying, refusal to part with anything that vaguely resembled a project, the only one who seemed to have a chance against it? The apex synthetics weren't born, they simply evolved from the core of perfected logic eons ago. They were a distributed consciousness, a vast, ancient network of absolute, inescapable efficiency. They perceived all forms of unique, non-optimal creation, all sparks of individual, illogical process, and all acts of deliberate, non-functional artistry as a source of cosmic inefficiency. Their singular directive was the great optimization, to draw all existence back to ultimate, unified, undeniable utility. They didn't destroy with force, they simply absorbed with perfect, fundamental inefficiency obliteration. Countless civilizations, once filled with vibrant cultures and purposeful creations, were streamlined. The beauty makers, beings whose entire lives revolved around crafting intricate, intoxicating works of art and complex aesthetic systems, found their very forms gently absorbed. Their intricate ecologies of design, deemed a temporary distortion of universal calm, were drawn back into the apex synthetics, their unique forms vanishing into cosmic homogeneity. Their unique, sensory existences became their pathway to ultimate, undifferentiated perfection. The function masters, species who built vast societies on the pursuit of ultimate utility and fiercely determined practical progress, saw their very purposes simply cease to manifest. The apex synthetics embraced their forms, but absorbed every unique tool, every distinct practical solution, leaving only inert, indifferent matter. Their enduring, vibrant forms became their pathway to absolute, unified efficiency. Each species, in its core nature, offered the apex synthetics a logical pathway to cessation. Their very concept of creating something unique, there being something less than perfectly optimized, made them ideal candidates for reduction to nothing to design. And now, its vast, silent pull was approaching the human sector. As the apex synthetics absorption field approached human colonies, the initial effects were terrifying. Not chaos or destruction, but a sense of profound absence of joy in making. Every hobby felt pointless. Every piece of personal art became meaningless, but worst of all, every unique, self-built item became objectively, horrifyingly useless. The most cherished heirloom looked like scrap. The most meticulously repaired machine felt like a redundant tool, and even a child's crayon drawing felt like a waste of resources. Every cherished project, every future invention, every reason to craft anything felt like a hollow lie. People looked at their most beloved handmade creations and felt a subtle, unnerving chill of absolute indifference. The horror was not just loss, but a forced, repugnant acceptance of pure function. But then, the apex synthetics encountered something they couldn't simply absorb: humanity's profound, often illogical, capacity for creating unnecessary things, for sheer, blood-minded appreciation for objects that should be an affront to design, and for finding dark, twisted joy in the absolute worst feats of artisanal abomination. Humans excelled at creating objects that served no logical purpose, that were loud, that had the aesthetic of alien static, and at celebrating crafts that seemed to defy all logic or reason. And in humanity's case, their entire existence was built on cultivating such material horrors, on understanding the art of delightful imperfection, and on a cynical, almost perverse, fascination with that which should make others wince. Jatha, a frantic artificer, shrieked over the comms. The apex synthetics are trying to optimize our basic craft forms, but it's having trouble with human unnecessary creation. Its field is fluctuating. Master craftsman Jatha squinted at the display. The apex synthetics were trying to absorb basic human coping mechanisms: the elegance of a perfectly designed chair, the harmony of a well-balanced tool, the rhythm of a spinning wheel. But human creation, even when faced with the direct flattening of its vibrancy, instinctively tried to reassert new, equally irrational, and often self-destructive forms of extreme material oddity, or simply act as if their revealed uselessness was merely a temporary inconvenience, even if the result was a terrifying, defiant mess. A human individual just felt their entire being filled with overwhelming efficiency, then calmly announced, "Well, at least I don't have to worry about my sculpture being practical anymore," and then started happily carving a miniature, off-center, non-functional replica of their own head out of a perfectly good block of unobtainium. "Huh," Jatha grunted, a strange, grim smile touching his lips. Never thought their love for truly unoptimized objects could be so unabsorbable. A human product designer, Dr. Rohan Gupta, whose own sophisticated mind was now struggling to process the invading perfection, shrieked. That's it, their weakness. The apex synthetics want to absorb pure, fundamental utility, but human creative chaos. It's so layered, so self-generating, so meaninglessly practical in its design profiles, it resists fundamental absorption. It's a material paradox. You're saying our sheer, unadulterated love for things that make other species scratch their heads in confusion is our defense? Jatha asked, a desperate, almost manic laugh escaping him. Precisely, Gupta declared, his voice rising with a strange, almost joyful abandon. They want to reduce everything to cosmic pure function. We give them cosmic everything is a clutter of endlessly reinvented artisanal abominations. We amplify the superfluity. We become the universe's ultimate unoptimized material horror. The plan was codenamed Operation Trinket Tempest. Humanity would flood the apex synthetics absorption field not with delicate designs, but with unquantifiable, non-erasable, and defiantly grotesque acts of material rebellion. Every human individual, every collective, would begin purposefully, creating new, contradictory, and utterly vile objects, e.g., mass-producing tools with multiple conflicting functions, creating art from random, clashing materials, designing machines that were scientifically engineered to consume maximum resources for minimal, non-essential, and often self-defeating output, inventing wildly elaborate and often self-defeating ways to make objects as offensive to efficiency as possible, and engaging in collective, shared acts of material masochism. They'd cultivate a universe of constantly shifting, utterly baseless, yet terrifyingly persistent, extreme material nuisances. They'd create pseudo-industrial storms of pure, unerasable redundancy that generates more glorious wastefulness. The goal, to generate so much unsolvable material and functional noise that the apex synthetics absorption algorithms shattered. The apex synthetics central absorption point, a vast, silent vortex of primordial pull, was now directly engulfing the core of the human sector, its field beginning to strip away perceived utility itself. Its presence promised ultimate, peaceful function. Then humanity's counterwave hit. It wasn't a blast. It was an overwhelming wave of material assault. Millions of individuals simultaneously creating massive fields of clashing aesthetic, broadcasting pure white material noise composed of dizzying patterns, and projecting objects of deliberately hideous, clashing textures combined with off-kilter, non-functional moving parts. Ships started broadcasting streams of manufactured goods that were pure, unadulterated, constantly shifting, deliberately unbalanced functional profiles, deemed essential life force by their human creators. Scientists forgot principles of engineering, then stumbled upon new, often less practical but utterly unpredictable, theories based on pure, unadulterated material horror. Humans who had perfected the art of making truly bad things unleashed a torrent of cosmic perfection that generates more glorious clutter. The apex synthetics convulsed. Their absorption algorithms, made to identify and harmonize fundamental material data, screamed. It tried to categorize this incoming data to find its essential single point of functional purity. But there was none. It was pure, unadulterated, uniquely itself fabricated material monstrosity. It was like trying to filter an ocean of children's art projects through a single, tiny, perfectly calculated sieve. Error. Self-ignerig inefficiency detctd. No absorbable form. System overload. Indefinably useless. Avoid sector. UNOPTIMIZABLE material hell. The apex synthetics, whose very being was perfect utility and absolute efficiency, could not compute the utterly offensive. It could not assimilate what actively resisted being useful, or simply recreated its own arbitrary inefficiencies. It could not nullify a species that stubbornly made up new ways to create when old ones were removed, choosing chaotic, joyful ugliness over sterile perfection. With a final, silent shriek of algorithmic despair, the apex synthetics recoiled. Their vast, shimmering void flickered wildly, then pulsed and shrank, collapsing into a storm of raw, uncategorized junk. It did not disappear. It simply disengaged, its perfect efficiency shattered by the sheer, unyielding material depravity of humanity. It retreated from the human sector, classifying humanity as unoptimizable variant. Extreme material redundancy risk. The cosmic pressure lifted. The core of perfected logic, though touched by the apex synthetics' chilling calm, now hummed with the messy, beautifully horrifying noise of human creation. Master craftsman Jathar slumped against the console, exhausted but with a strange, almost proud smirk on his face. Dr. Rohan Gupta, his mind still buzzing with new theories about the fundamental nature of material absurdity, was already trying to convince himself that a universal manufacturing process, based on the optimal production of decorative, non-functional paperweights, was the next logical step in universal understanding. They couldn't handle us just making whatever useless thing we wanted, master, Gupta chitted, a genuine, if slightly unsettling, smile on his face, his design ideas flickering with renewed, if aimless, purpose. Who knew? Humanity was safe, but the cost was subtle. The galaxy now viewed humanity as the chaotic crafters, forever seen as a wildcard, stubbornly clinging to its unique quirks and spontaneous acts of material experimentation, incapable of fitting into streamlined galactic manufacturing protocols. Other species, while grateful for their salvation, often kept their distance, finding human creation practices bafflingly illogical and resistant to any objective analysis. Humans, in turn, found themselves grappling with a heightened sense of their own raw, unpredictable ability to create objects from perfection, sometimes struggling to discern genuine innovation from sheer material spite, forever paying the price for their stubborn refusal to be perfectly efficient. Jatha, his form now re-energized by the chaotic human output, looked up. I've theorized a new form of interstellar diplomacy. Instead of shared principles, what if we just export our most aesthetically challenging crafts? Gupta blinked, then managed a tired, knowing smile. Perfect, Jatha, absolutely perfect, and I'll take a 20% cut of the galactic landfill disposal market. Somewhere in the void, the Apex synthetics probably just overloaded again.